I reached out to some of my favourite finance YouTubers to get their best tips to help both you and me get richer in 2022. And every single person that you're going to hear from in this video has an abundance of knowledge in the personal finance space, with some taking their net worths all the way from zero into the multi-millions. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into it.
Hi Christos. So my top tip for any new investor, or any investor actually, is to know your why. Knowing your reasons for investing and what you want to achieve out of investing will really help you put an investing plan and strategy into place. And it will also help guide you towards the sort of risk appetite that you have and what sort of asset classes you want to own. And also, by having a defined purpose of investing, you will really be able to stay on track a lot easier.
My number one tip for making money is never think you know everything.
Yeah, the problem is the old don't listen to the young, and then the young don't listen to the old. So we try and remember that, and that's why me and Dad work so well together.
Never get too big to listen. You should always ask for help if you need it, and there's always someone out there that can help you.
There's a scene in Fight Club which gives you the biggest warning you need to hear in personal finance.
You know, man, it could be worse. A woman could cut off your while you're sleeping and toss it out the window of a moving car.
Oops, not that one. 1 second.
The things you own end up owning you.
You will be amazed how many cash-rich people royally mess up that advice. Here's an example. 0% finance, have today, pay tomorrow mentality. You will have heard the following argument from your friends before.
Well, I have the money to pay it off straight away if I needed to, so why not put it on a 0% interest credit card?
What they fail to think about is the unexpected costs that might crop up out of nowhere, which might use this money which is sat to one side. Maybe your car breaks down, your pet needs life-saving surgery, or maybe a member of your family really needs financial help. Before you know it, your 0% interest is now 28%. The things you own end up owning you. Avoid this completely, save up and pay for it.
Hi, this is Neil from Neil Invest. Thank you, Christos, for giving me the opportunity to speak to your audience. What I would say is my number one tip for investing for newcomers in 2022, and it has been proven over the course of the last couple of years, is the importance of diversification. Over the last 2 years alone, we have seen some significant growth in businesses, some significant growth within crypto, within penny stocks, the lot. A lot of them, however, have dropped just as fast as they've come up. So it's really important, if you are going to invest into those sort of asset classes, that you make sure that your portfolio is predominantly made up of businesses that you are comfortable to sit on for years. Within my own personal portfolio, I have a 5% allocation to volatile and speculative stocks. I know diversification is a very boring topic, and it means that you can't be putting all your money into stuff that you think is going to 100 bag in the next couple of weeks. But that's the reality of trying to get proper long-term gains.
People will invest in all kinds of different ways and ways that will suit them, but I find the best thing that works for me is just to simply invest in global index trackers. I find taking this long-term approach seems a much more healthier option compared to the somewhat gambling nature of day trading. You see, when we're day trading, any piece of news, good or bad, can send a stock, any particular stock, flying or right into the doldrums, depending on how that piece of news is gone for that particular company. On a short-term basis, there's just too much going on day to day, and if I was glued to my investment portfolio screen day after day, sweating it and whether it was going to go up or down, it would be just too much mental baggage for me. So long-term investing in global index trackers, that's the healthiest option for me, and something maybe you should consider too.
A bit of a mindset tip from me. So something that I'm a really big believer in is short-term pain for long-term gain. Now, the intriguing thing about this mindset is that it can be applied to many different areas of your life. In the world of personal finance, this could look like putting off a certain purchase that you want but don't necessarily need, and instead use that money for saving or investing. An example from my own life would be that I drove a cheap Ford Fiesta for 8 years. Many people around me were constantly upgrading their cars for newer models, and as a result they then had to pay high monthly finance payments. I was happy knowing my car was fully paid off, and the money that would have been used for any car finance, I was instead saving up. So when I did eventually start my investment journey in 2020, I had savings that were ready to invest. The short-term pain of driving a cheap-ass car allowed me to save and invest my money for long-term gain. So the next time you want to buy or upgrade something, think short-term pain for long-term gain, and your future self will thank you.
Hey up everybody. So my top tip for investors is to make sure that you take a step back to avoid getting too emotionally attached to the markets. Now look, I know that it's easy to do, checking your phone every 2 hours to see if there's any spikes or crashes that you need to be made aware of. But the more frequently that you look at your portfolio, the more likely you are to start doubting your investments and maybe even start making some rash decisions. And this ties in with having a long-term investing mindset. Invest your money and let it do all of the hard work whilst you sit back and relax. Most of us are investing to reach some form of long-term financial goal, whether that be buying your dream home or becoming financially free. And financial freedom does not involve checking your investment accounts all the time. In fact, that sounds like financial hell.
Hey, it's Paul, Steve and Steve here from the Playing Footsie podcast. Steve, what's your favourite bit of personal financial advice that's not actually financial advice?
Thanks, Paul. Hi, Christos. So my favourite top tip for investors or personal finance or anything like that is making sure that you underspend your income, basically. And that's a really basic point, but I think it's kind of, for me, the foundation of basically everything that really helps me build my wealth in the long term and keeps me safe from any kind of financial dangers. So underspending your income is, I think, really important, and it's just about making sure that you keep control of your outgoings as much as your kind of incomings. Your salary tends to be kind of where it is. There's not much you can do about that immediately in a number of ways, although side hustles and stuff help. The most important thing, though, is get control of those outgoings so that you don't end up overshooting, and that's where you get into difficulties, I think.
Pay yourself first. One of the first things that should come up of your bank account is a payment to your future self. So best way to do this is to set up a budget, figure out all the things that need to go out, figure out that's what's going to be left at the very beginning of the month, and give yourself a nice healthy whack of that. One of the best things about paying yourself first is if you wait till the end of the month, there'll be nothing left. If you pay yourself early in the month, you'll learn to live on the rest of the money that you've got left after your paycheck. So definitely start paying yourself first.
Know your risk. The worst time to find out that you've risked too much is during a market crash, kind of like now. So run some tolerances. What I do is I have my stock market figure up here on my whiteboard that's cut in half. So I look at that every single day and I find out, and I figure to myself, well, could I live with it if my money went down that much? And I hope I can. So do everything you can to just know your risk and figure it out first. Thanks very much, guys.
Now, when it comes to my top tip for personal finance, it's definitely going to be start a side hustle. Starting a side hustle for me was actually one of the best things that I have ever done, because I was able to take the money that I earned from my side hustle and invest 100% of that without actually touching my 9-to-5 salary. A couple of side hustles that I recommend taking a look at is definitely starting a YouTube channel, having a look into affiliate marketing, learning some graphic design skills and offering your services on a website like Fiverr, or maybe even just getting a part-time job. All of these are great ways that you can earn a little bit of extra income on the side and potentially invest that money to grow your wealth in the future. Now, if you like this video, then you definitely need to go and check out this one up here, where I share 7 online side hustles that can make anybody up to £50 per hour. You don't want to miss it.
Oh, we did that in together, didn't we?
Yeah.